Batch 17 is finally out, and it follows the usual tradition of 4 good bots and 1 bot that is a bit undesirable. So, which is which? We'll get over to it right now. First bot on the list will be Cosmos, and that's Mindwipe for Decepticons. It is a pretty good outpost bot, and previously he that he shoots discs, right? And previously discs were able to affect um 2 targets in total, but now they bumped it up to 3 targets in total. So it's quite a bit of a buff. And before that, some people were using him in Prime League for their outpost, and he was okay. But now he's quite a bit more viable, and he also got a health increase, a slight health increase, nothing too significant, but still very useful for an outpost. And overall, he's a good outpost. On offense, he has some very niche uses. He, if you want, especially if you play in lower leagues where players make mistakes like having a hackable Megatronus, he's your guy. Uh, and yeah, he can also help hack some problematic outposts like Beachcomber and Deluge and stuff like that. But there are also other bots who can do it, so just something to consider. But yeah, outpost duties where he is really solid at. That's kind of his thing, and he's really solid at this. So consider him as an outpost bot. So if you pull him, he will be pretty solid bot. Um, and now let's go to the next one. Lightspeed, and that's Ironbison for the Decepticons. And that bot, he's completely unchanged because okay, I do not have a 5-star over here. Is it? Yeah, only 4-star. But overall, he's really solid because his G1 core makes him revive twice. And on top of it all, his ability has this effect called Blind, which kind of decreases the range. It basically makes it makes enemies do less damage to you, and he can pop outposts on offense. Again, he has 2 revives, so basically double vector. And if you use him on defense, that's really good because having a bulky warrior that is immune to stuns with something like Forge of Souls to make him immune to hacks, and again with 2 revives, and with also his ability doing damage reduction, he's very solid for both our offense and defense. So another really W bot. Metalhawk is, in terms of ability, are largely unchanged except for one very small thing. It's actually not that small, it's significant, but the way he worked before was not intended. Basically, at ability level 11, the tooltip stated that he reduces the range by 20 seconds. In reality, it was 40 seconds, so double of the intended. And so, kind of to compensate, to get to the middle ground, they decided to make it 25 seconds because all the players who were used to it. And his G1 core also decreases attack and movement speed. So basically, his ability does decent damage in an area, but the main thing that makes him very valuable is he also pretty much makes kill zone, right? If you affect something like this, like you see this kill zone, these MDS, whatever, right? If you affect it with him, they're gonna do very little damage. So for your tanky bots, or if you use a combiner like Urination and God Neptune, combined with his shield, he will receive very little damage compared to what he would usually get shredded. But this way, he's not gonna get shredded. So Metalhawk and Bomb-Burst have a lot of utility, and definitely another W bot. Now, Tasmania Kid and Antagony, they were heavily changed. Previously, their ability was meant you were to cast um, one ability applied water effect and other ability applied electric effect, and they were all dealing damage. So you kind of wanted to use one and the other, but now they changed it because water will be changed to something else. So now the idea behind him. Okay, okay, let's deploy him real quick and then I will go over it. Um, let's see. Okay, so what does the Omega Swipe do? Target an enemy to medium range and perform a swipe that deals damage to enemies in large area. Targets that have vulnerable Alpha Strike will have their disabled reset. Okay, so the idea is to use Alpha Swipe first, right? Because it applies stun and deals damage. And the other idea, okay, I'm gonna cast ability because he's going to receive a lot of damage. He's very low level. Uh, And the other idea is to use the Omega Swipe to basically do a decent amount of instant damage and reset the stun from the initial cast. Although I don't think it's quite working for what I say. uh, yeah, I don't think it's quite working. Uh, but yeah, a high level one is able to do a lot of damage, pretty much nuke areas, and he's also really good in my experience. Now, he will do quite a bit less damage than he used to do before, but he's still very, very strong. The AoE damage dealer, he can deal still a lot of damage in an area, so that's quite valuable. And lastly, there is Chromia and Fellbat. They were also heavily changed. Before they were a type of bot that was problem for lower leagues, but pretty much useless for higher leagues in terms of both offense and defense. And now, um, due to the fact that developers don't even play their own game, they still think that this bot is overpowered. In reality, this is the dud of the batch. This is the weakest bot in the batch. And the thing with Chromia, okay, so now how does the tower work? Tower now has more health and damage, but acts basically, as you can see, it acts like the defensive tower. Um, like the building, like the shock tower, basically, and it deals damage in a respectable area, and it also stuns. So, and you can also have multiple at once, or you can't. I'm not sure. Uh, but yeah, now the idea is basically we place this tower, and it's pretty much a combination between the thunderstorm and EMP shock core. It also explodes, but no, it's a bit less significant. And in terms of stunning, it does less stunning, definitely. Basically, it creates a pulse every 4 seconds, and stun lasts for only 2 seconds, so only 50% of the time will characters be stunned. But it also does pretty decent amount of damage when maxed out. Now, mine is not that, I'm not going to invest into the 4-star, or even in this spot. Overall, it is that of the batch, it's a bit underwhelming, and even if you use it on Outpost, it's just not gonna do much like before against a skilled player. If you don't know how to deal with Chromia and Fellbat, feel free to check out my previous video. I made a video on how to counter them, so definitely feel free to check it out. But overall, they are out of the batch. They are the undesired bot. Others are all pretty good. Definitely Prime League worthy bots. Maybe a couple more tests have to be done about Tasmania Kid and Antagony, but I think they're still gonna remain, as a viable option for a Prime League. Um, I see a lot of potential with them, and they can do a lot of damage. And stuns, they are very solid still. But yeah, Chromia and Fellbat are a bit disappointing. Again, it's mostly because developers don't even play their own game. They think they're a super overpowered bot. And another thing that I want to clarify, um, Chromia and Fellbat before were able to they had a native stun, right? And basically, if you do not have a gun equipped, they would stun from their regular attacks. And now, from my understanding, they disabled it for defense. So if they are used on outpost duty, they lose the stun. They no longer stun, and again, all because developers don't even play their own game. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Batch is, it's a good batch. It follows the same standard of one undesired bot and 4 desired bots. So yeah, definitely do consider if you will go for this batch. I hope this helps clarify a couple of things because these bots are very much useful. And Fellbat is also a combiner component for Decepticons. So if you're a Decepticon, you get way more value out of this bot as well. And Mindwipe for Decepticons is a combiner component for a very strong combiner. Ironbison is also a combiner component for. So this will stay a combiner component if you're a Decepticon, and one combiner component if you're an Autobot. That being Lightspeed. But yeah, overall a very interesting batch, and I hope this helps to clarify if you should go for it or not. But yeah, I will go over each character separately in the video. I don't want to make this too long. I just want to give you a quick idea of what's if you should go for it, right? So that's pretty much it for this video, and thank you if you were, sticking around until the end of the video. I really appreciate it, and see you in the next one.